Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look into what the PvP is going to be like in Ashes of Creation. What will be covered in this video are different types of open world PvP with an overview on each individually, how open world PvP works, arena PvP, the player corruption system, and player death. If you're a fan of Ashes of Creation content and want to see more in the future, please feel free to subscribe, and if you enjoy the video, it'd be great if you could leave a like. PvP is the catalyst for change in Ashes of Creation. Player combat is intended to be meaningful, ranging from caravan battles to vast open world conflicts fought for the pride of kings and queens. There are many reasons to engage in open world PvP in Ashes of Creation. For example, scarce resources, caravans, hunting grounds, sieges, guild wars, and bounty hunting. Objective-based events such as node sieges, castle sieges, guild wars, and node wars will occur within a prime time window somewhere between 3 PM and 9 PM server time. However, this is not a fixed time currently as it's subject to testing. The way the PvP system works is it's based within seasons. Performance in various PvP systems such as caravans, arenas, and guild wars is measured over the course of a 6-month PvP season. At the end of each season, a player's cumulative score can unlock various rewards such as gear enhancement rewards, achievement ranks, and purchasing power. And it should also be noted what's currently planned for PvP leaderboards is an arena ladder system and a guild ladder. Before we take a look into all the different instances of PvP, I want to first talk about player flagging. The open world PvP flagging system is designed to deter people from griefing other players. Players can participate in open world PvP with one another without having to resort to murder. Players will gank other players, but the intention is for Ashes of Creation to not be a gank box. The penalties are intended to be severe enough to deter any type of spawn camping. Within the player flagging system, there are 3 levels of flagging for open world PvP. These are non-combatant, which is green. All players start out as non-combatants. Non-forced attacks such as AoE attacks will not hit non-combatant players. Combatant, which is purple. Non-combatants entering an open world battleground are automatically flagged as combatant and remain flagged for a period of time after leaving that battleground. Players are flagged as combatants if they attack another player when carrying out a forced attack. If the attacked players fight back, they are also flagged as combatants, otherwise the attacked player will remain flagged as a non-combatant. Non-combatants who heal, buff, or otherwise interact with combatants will be flagged as combatants. Non-combatants who attack a player using combat pets or any other kind of player-controlled entities will be flagged as combatants. Players can kill combatants without repercussions and are encouraged to do so since dying while a combatant has reduced health penalties. It's also worth noting that players aren't able to manually set their flagging status to combatant. Next up is corrupt, which is based around red. If a combatant player kills a non-combatant player, they will be flagged as corrupt. Corruption multiplies death penalties and reveals a corrupt player's location to a bounty hunter. A player's corruption score increases with each non-combatant player killed. If a non-combatant player attacks a corrupt player, the non-combatant will not flag as combatant. Corrupted players may kill bounty hunters without acquiring additional corruption score. A player may not flag on members of the same party, raid, guild, or alliance. Players will be able to opt in via a checkbox to allow their beneficial or non-beneficial AoEs to hit flagged players. If this is checked, then AoE heals or damage will affect flagged players. If it's not checked, then the AoE will not damage or heal any flagged players, and as such will not cause the caster to become flagged themselves. So to quickly get through explaining the corruption and reiterating a couple of things, if a combatant player kills a non-combatant player in PvP, they will be flagged as corrupt. A player's corruption score increases with each non-combatant player killed. The wider the level disparity between the players, the more corruption is gained. The corruption penalties occur as it's gained. The higher the corruption score, the more skill and stat dampening applies. Lower health, lower mana, lower gear proficiency, until the corrupt player becomes ultimately ineffective at combat. However, this combat dampening only affects PvP combat. Also, the higher the corruption score that you have, the higher chance you have at dropping raw materials and gear, e.g. weapons and armor, when the corrupted player dies. One thing that you'll also see is corruption has a visible effect on the player appearance. It should be kept in mind though, if a non-combatant player attacks a corrupt player, the non-combatant will not flag as combatant, and for as long as a player is corrupt, the corrupt player's location will be revealed to bounty hunters on the world map. However, corrupted players may kill bounty hunters without acquiring any additional corruption score, and corrupted players' combat penalties do not apply when battling these bounty hunters. In general, the more corruption you gain, the less effective you're going to become in PvP, and there's going to be a certain period at which point you've gained enough corruption that you're going to be gearless and you're going to have a massive reduction in your PvP efficiency. The primary means to remove corruption is through death. Multiple deaths may be required to remove all the corruption a player has. Dying removes a significant portion of a player's corruption score. However, gaining experience will also slowly reduce a player's corruption score. Keep in note, a quest may be utilised to reduce the player kill count of a corrupt player in order for them to accumulate less corruption score in the future. This is a design shift from a religious quest being used to directly reduce the corruption score. Let's take the time now to summarise what happens when a player dies. A non-combatant who dies suffers normal penalties which include experience debt, skill and stat dampening, lower health and mana, lower gear proficiency, reduction in drop rates from monsters, durability loss, dropping a percentage of carried gatherables and processed goods. This includes a percentage of items carried on the player's mule. This also includes a percentage of the certificates that a player is carrying. A combatant who dies suffers the same penalties but at half the rate at a non-combatant player. A corrupt player suffers the penalties at 4 times the rate at a non-combatant and has a chance to drop any of the carried and equipped items based on their current corruption score. This dropped gear then may be looted by other players. As well as dropping their weapons and gear, corrupted players also may respawn at a random location in the vicinity of their death and not at regular spawn points. Now that we've covered the player flagging system, let's actually take a look into some of the reasons why you might want to get involved in open world PvP. First up, we have Caravans. This would be a brief overview of Caravans, and I'll make a separate video talking in depth about Caravans, as adding it to this video would nearly double the video length. The Caravan system is an open world PvP system that revolves around opportunity and risk. Caravans facilitate the transfer of goods for players wishing to turn a profit. Caravans are used for transfer of personal goods and quests, as well as supplies for castles and nodes. Caravans may only be sent from or arrive at village nodes or above. Caravans can transport goods for more than one player, and the open world PvP flagging system does not apply to Caravans. Caravans create an open PvP zone that flags players as a combatant. Players will be able to state their intentions to attack, defend, or ignore via a user interface menu. The proximity that the UI window appears is determined by the player's performance as either a defender or an attacker in previous raids. A group will be required to successfully attack a caravan, and players will not be able to see the exact contents of a caravan before they decide to attack or defend. However, there will be some visual hints to the cargo of the caravan, such as gold, silver, or iron visible on top of the caravan. Cargo is represented this way even if a cosmetic caravan skin has been applied to the caravan. A caravan will persist in the world for a period of 5 to 10 minutes from the time its owner logs out or is disconnected from the server. If a caravan is destroyed, it will drop a portion of the goods that it was transporting. Caravan components may also be dropped when a caravan is destroyed. These components may be salvaged by the caravan owner or by other players in the case of high-grade components. For heavy goods, caravans drop certificates. These are redeemable at the origin node for a portion of the goods. The next instance might be at a hunting grounds. Hunting grounds refers to the killing of monsters or NPCs in the open world. This also refers to contesting resources. Hunting grounds are open world PvP corruption-enabled areas that encompass most of the map. What this example is explaining is one of the options of open world PvP where, if another player is gathering the resources or killing the monsters that you want to kill, you can then take it upon yourself to kill that player and then proceed upon your day gathering resources and killing monsters. Next up is sieges. Guilds can participate in castle sieges in an effort to capture and occupy one of the 5 guild castles in Ashes of Creation. Sieges occur once a month within a server primetime window. The minimum goal is for a 250 by 250 player to be on a single battlefield, and it's hoped that this can be increased to 500 by 500 over time. A guild that captures a castle will own the castle for a month before it can be sieged again. In the first 3 weeks after a guild occupies a castle, they will need to level up each of their 3 castle nodes to village stage. This can be done through questing 1 week at a time. Each of these 3 castle nodes will have a siege against it at the end of each of these 3 weeks. So just to make sure I'm explaining this properly, week 1 focuses on one node and then a siege will happen. Week 2 focuses on another node and then another siege will happen. And then week 3 focuses on the final node and another siege will happen. The 4th week is then the declaration week, where other guilds have the opportunity to lay down their declaration flag or to sign up as a defender of the castle. Depending on how well these guilds defend their castle nodes in the first 3 weeks will depend on how good their defences will be for defending the castle. Different siege weaponry will grant the attackers the ability to destroy walls, doors, and sections of the castle in order to gain access to the inner keep area. When castles change hands, some taxes may stay with the castle and some may stay with the guild. There are also node sieges that enable players to destroy nodes. This paves the way for new development and access to locked content in the surrounding nodes. Due to this dynamic, political strife and intrigue will play an important role in the structure of the world. Sieging nodes will not be an easy task for the attackers. Cities and metropolis will have considerable defensive advantage. If you own a home in a node and you don't want to see that home destroyed, you need to defend that city. Next up is Guild Wars. However, these features are currently in the design stage, and therefore this will be a brief summary of plans but not features. The overall goal for Guild Wars is to be objective based with great risk for each side. Guild War objective is designed to be more fluid than Castle Siege objectives. Objectives spawn in the world based upon the level of the Guild War and the assets available to the guilds, whether it be a guild hall or a guild fortress. There will be default objectives, and then there will be objectives that relate to the activities that a guild participates in. For example, if a guild has recently become owners of a guild hall on a freehold, objectives might be related to capturing a quest item in or around the guild hall that is only visible to the warring guild. Capturing this objective may require channeling time. Another objective may be to steal one of the quest items that the guild may have received from completing a raid. There could even be a bounty objective to kill a particular guild member. The target may have increased damage mitigation and or health against the warring guild and can call for help. It should be noted though that guild wars will not be permanent, and definitive victory conditions exist that are based on the level of the warring guilds and the asset that those guilds have. Next up is bounty hunting. Players can acquire the bounty hunter title through a quest available to citizens of a military node and potentially their vassals or affiliated nodes. Bounty hunters can activate their pathfinding ability to reveal corrupted player locations on their map. This will flag the bounty hunter for combat only to corrupted players for a period of 1 hour from the time of activation. The pathfinding ability can be toggled on or off. It is possible that bounty hunters will be permanently flagged versus corrupted players with the pathfinding ability toggled off. This design change will be decided based on future testing. The accuracy of the bounty hunter maps is determined by a player's progression in the bounty hunter system. A few of you may now be wondering, are there any safe zones? Short answer, there are. Player stalls, player housing and freeholds are all safe zones. Players are not able to be attacked or robbed while occupying a player's store, and player stalls may not be renewed during a siege declaration. With player housing, a property has a single owner. A permission system will enable this owner to grant specific access to parts of their house, e.g. ability to open the door and enter the home, access to crops, ability to deposit and withdraw items from storage containers, permission to decorate but not take anything from the house. And then with freeholds, players cannot steal from a freehold under normal circumstances. Items stored within the freehold may become lootable after a successful siege against the parent node. Players cannot currently be killed by other players while inside the footprint of their freehold. Currently, there are no plans for NPC guards that permanently exist on a freehold. However, guards may be available to hire to defend freeholds after a successful node siege. Next up, we have arenas. This will be instance PvP arena scenarios. Arenas will have a 1-man, 3-man, 5-man and possibly a 20-man free-for-all deathmatch. There won't be specifically guild v guild arenas, but team-based matchmaking allows teams to face other teams. There will however be an arena ladder system, and rewards for arena ladders will be revealed at a later time. Currently we know that titles can be received from arena play, however arena points to be used to buy gear are not currently in the design. The arena system may support cross-server combat, and whilst arena-style combat is instant, there may be an interface for players to be able to spectate. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or feedback, make sure to leave that down below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.